And here on the main stage, we have a panel discussion on lean and sustainability. It's led by René Arnau. Hello, René.
Hi.
And hello to your panelists. We have Fabrice Farcot, Lizzie Boetink, and Tom van Collenberg. You guys have a great panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Roberto.
We see you in 30 minutes.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit. So welcome everyone to this panel discussion on lean and sustainability. The question is, can lean really help in battling climate change? So I'm happy to introduce you to Fabrice Farcot, Lizzie Boetink, and Tom van Collenberg. Welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you. Maybe Maybe you can briefly introduce yourself. Lizzie, can you start off?
Yes, thank you. Well, my name is Lizzie Boetink. I'm a sustainability manager at Dura Vermeer, which is a construction and real estate company based in the Netherlands. We are family owned and we exist for over 167 years.
167 years, that's quite sustainable, isn't it?
Yes. So we design, build and renovate houses, offices, schools, but also bridges and roads. And we have a very clear sustainability policy, which is called Net Zero. So we want to reduce our CO2 emissions by 50% in 2030. And we do not only take responsibility for our own CO2 emissions, which we call Scope 1 and 2. So our equipment, our offices, our trucks, etc. But we take responsibility for the whole Scope 3. So we take responsibility for the whole chain we work in, all the materials, but also the energy being used during the lifespan of the buildings we build. So I'm very happy that we have this big goal, and we will make really good steps forward.
Cool. So we will talk a bit more about your examples later on. Fabrice, maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Very nice to be with you and share this moment of sustainability and lean discussion. So I'm Fabrice. I'm the head of sustainability at Aramis Group. Aramis Group, we are selling online, and we are the European leader in selling online cars. And not only cars, but refurbished used cars. And we know that when we talk about refurbishing, it rings the bell of sustainability, and we will come back to it later. We used to say that Aramis Group model is sustainable by design, and here we will also come back to it. And the question, and I used to be the group CFO of Aramis Group, and 1.5 years ago, I've been, as I say, I've been refurbished from finance to sustainability, and I think it's I did this move because with the co-founders of Aramis, we are convinced that tomorrow's sustainability will be as important as finance, and it's a very interesting move that I've done 1.5 years ago, and I have no regret to this move from finance to sustainability.
Thank you, Fabrice. And Tom, can I ask you to present yourself?
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me here. My name is Tom van Collenberg. Like you can see on the sheet, I'm Professor of Impactful Value Chains at Advanced University of Applied Science. Besides that, I also have a professorship at Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences, which basically focuses on the combination of digital and circularity. How should digitalization help creating circular chains? Within Advanced University, my main focus of interest is applying lean in the 21st century. So that's not just the usual lean applications like doing value stream mapping, increasing productivity, and so on, but basically how can we use lean in order to fulfill 21st century problems like sustainability and circularity, and how can we use digitalization in order to improve that?
Yeah, and congratulations, Tom, because yesterday you've had your inauguration in your new role in Rotterdam University, correct?
Thank you very much. Yes, we had a wonderful afternoon yesterday, so I couldn't have seen anything of the program yesterday.
Yeah,
But,
you're too busy doing other fun stuff, huh?
Sorry?
You were too busy doing other fun stuff.
I had my presentation. I had some speakers there also, so we really had a nice event discussing the way digitalization can help creating a circular economy. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm very happy that you've wanting to participate in this event. So
Thank you.
maybe Ton, you gave me this slide.
Yes, well, basically, when I look upon applying lean within the 21st century, I mean, lean, I ask my students a lot of times, how old is lean? And we can discuss that, but it's not really a relevant question. But there are quite some very relevant tools and principles, I think, within lean management that can be applied also in the 21st century. And what it's basically about, I think, is that we leave a better world for the next person on a short and long term. And with the long term, of course, I mean that we create a sustainable future where also future generations, my children, grandchildren, can still have a good life. And also on the short term, I mean, I also tell students, for instance, that when they leave the room, that there is going to be a next generation in this room, and that's the class that comes afterwards. So a little bit application of 5S, for instance, can be very interesting there. And what you see is that people, well, like to talk about the long-term sustainability and so on, but they forget that they can start doing things right now and well, make a better world for the person who comes after. And that can also be a next shift, for instance, if you look at a production facility. How do you lead the work in a way that helps the next person?
Yeah, so not just a long-term.
No, not. I had a discussion with the local government here the day before yesterday, and they're thinking about plans that the Netherlands have to be circular completely at 2050, but I hope to be alive at 2050. I mean, it's still quite far away, but what can we do this year or next year? I think we should focus on that, and well, that's much more helpful, I think. Yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Fabrice, you have sent me this slide, and maybe it's not to go through entirely.
No, it's not to go through. Yeah, you're right. Thank you. The idea is that we are convinced. I said that earlier that we consider our model as sustainable by design, because inspired by lean. If we take, for example, 3 principles of lean, we are convinced that lean support the sustainability. It does not only go with sustainability, but it supports sustainability. In our cases, if we take one of the 3 principles of lean regarding people is the solution, or the principle of customer centrics, or the principle of chasing waste, we can easily see how those principles support sustainability. I think the one regarding the principle of people is the solution is easily linked to the social part of what we call sustainability. I think that's very easy to link. When our model, like Aramis, is inspired by lean, you are customer centrics. We know that we are quite easily also linked to sustainability, because being customer centric, it means that we care for customer to have, in our case, affordable and responsible cars that we are able to sell them. And the third one, when we talk about chasing waste, this link between chasing waste and sustainability is not that easy to make, but I think we'll come back to it as an example in the discussion. Now, this one is perhaps the one that is not that obvious, but that's interesting to see how chasing waste in a car business, refurbishing car business, can support sustainability.
Okay, thank you, Fabrice. Well, let's get going to the main questions we have is, what is the contribution lean can provide to a more sustainable environment? We will touch on that one first, and then we will get through some examples in our working environment, and also from an academic perspective, what do we see happening? So let's get to the first one. So we kicked off this event yesterday with Jim Womack, who said, yeah, lean does not equal green, but lean can enable a more sustainable environment. But what, from your perspective, can lean help, or how can it help? So Lizzie, I know that you haven't been personally involved that much in the lean journey at Dura Vermeer, but I've been doing this for at least 15 years, applying lean. And luckily also, even if at a 167 years old company, is really quite active in the being more green and more sustainable. So what do you think of this?
Yeah, well, I believe that the route towards a more sustainable economy has reached a new phase. When I started with sustainability 12 years ago, I had to play a very activist role. I think people were very motivated to do things differently, to really fight climate change. And there were even colleagues who didn't believe in climate change. Nowadays, it's not about the why anymore, it's about how and how fast. And therefore we need a different way of working. And for me, and I think for more people in the sustainability sector, it's new to not be the activist, but to be the person who wants to have to lead the others, especially that we have to do it more quick. And therefore we use a little bit of help, I think, to structure and to speed up the process. So I think that lean can be very interesting to set that to come in a new phase.
Yeah, so that's a good message. So you don't have to be an activist anymore.
No.
People really are actively saying, okay, help out. How do we do this? And how do we do it fast? Yeah. Fabrice, what would your point be on this? What's your view?
Perhaps coming back to this example that we have at Hermes, I mean, a concrete example of lean application to sustainability. In our business of refurbishing used cars, 80% of our carbon footprints comes from transportation. I mean, what we call scope 1 and 2. So this is the internal road haulage and the fact that we transport car from one side to the others. And so we have been working on the fact that logistics is the key driver to reduce our carbon footprints. And if we take the principle of chasing waste, we were looking at with all the head of logistics in the group, how we can reduce our carbon footprint through the logistic as a driver. Usually you can hear or read that the way of reducing carbon footprint from logistics is using green energy. I don't say it's wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong. We're just thinking about how can we make our own logistic more efficient by itself before going to any new investment in green energy. I don't say this is the opposite. I say that let's see how we can make our model better itself and then invest in that. I take this example, it's just like we want to be more green in heating the building. We invest in green energy, but we are not sure that all the windows are closed. You know what I mean? This is the same here. So we have been looking at logistics to reduce our carbon footprint through the chasing waste concept and saying what are the waste in logistics. We move perhaps our car too many times. Perhaps our trucks are not full, or perhaps do we drive too many miles. So we are currently chasing waste in moving cars, in filling trucks, in driving mileage. And once we reduced those waste, we convinced that, I mean, that has automatically an impact in the CO2 environment. And if you do less mileage, you have a reducing of carbon footprint. And then once we have saved and make our model more reduce our waste, then a new energy, green energy in our trucks will bring even more positive impact in our carbon footprint. And in the discussion I have around the with other car business about carbon footprint, this approach of first thinking of chasing waste and then go to the energy is quite singular. It's quite singular, and here it's a real strong approach, and it's quite easy also to bring your own team and your own employee in this. You say to the head of logistic, just do your job better in logistic, and you will improve your carbon footprint, and that makes sustainability issue a part of the daily business, of their daily job, and so on. And that's very a concrete example, but quite new for us, and we start to see how benefit it is for us. And this year we have reduced our carbon footprint for 15% from logistic, and it's the first time in the past 3 years. So we can see how we can onboard our people also.
Yeah, so I like what you say, because in that sense, it's quite an easy thing, just focus on reducing waste from this perspective of sustainability. And you can use all the known tools to improve.
Yeah, and you know, that an example, when I'm discussing now with the head of logistics, they say, okay, I'm working on the CO2 emission, and I have now to say to them, let's do your job and optimize your logistic, and then the carbon footprint will decrease. So this is the other way around. It's good to me to focus them on their job. It's a good example, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit similar to don't focus on cost reduction, focus on improving your quality, improving your delivery, improving safety.
Yeah.
And then the result will be better. Yeah. Okay, let's go to, I did get a question in between, by the way, from Qua Nguyen from Vietnam. And he's asking, can you explain a bit more about the integration of green and lean practices for sustainable business management? It's quite a broad question, but please explain more about the integration of green and lean practices. Any response to this?
Yes, I can respond to that, hopefully in the right way, because it is a broad question indeed. But well, like Fabrice was already saying, I think that of course, we can easily focus on reducing perhaps different kind of waste. I mean, we've got these 8 wastes, these 8 lean wastes, and we can expand them, of course, with some green wastes, like how do you call it, emissions and things like that. That could be an easy way. But what we could also look at is also the lean principles, for instance, how we could apply them. I mean, the first lean principle is customer value. And what I see in a lot of cases is that companies, well, they might say that customer value is at number 1, but what you basically see them doing is reducing cost, increasing profits. And if you increase profits, I wrote an article with a colleague last year about the 9th waste, and from that point of view, profit is the 9th waste because it's not adding value to the customer; it's only adding value to the shareholder.
No.
So what I think is, if you want to integrate them, is that we also have to look at our mindset. It was a bit like Fabrice was saying, that you are trying to improve your building but still leave the windows open. So our mindset has to change there if we want to combine the both. I mean, Lean has got a lot of great tools, I think, to be more green, and it's about PDCA. I mean, well, not just trying to jump into conclusion, but think about the problem. It's about applying Hoshinkanri, so involving everyone, translating the things you want to do into well, everybody's work. It's about it's about zero waste, basically, because if we really want to focus on perfection, try to achieve that, try to get to a situation of zero waste, I mean, that's amazing. On the other hand, of course, we can wonder that our current systems, the current way we do things, if they're really fit to really create a sustainable situation. I mean, it's not about, I think it's not just about changing the perspective we have or the focus we have from finance, for instance, to sustainability. But it's also about the complete way we think, the paradigms we used. Lean management was when it was introduced. What was it, 1990 or something like that? It was really a paradigm shift because it was about focusing on the customer. It had an external view. It was about exploring. Well, currently, I see a lot of cases where lean becomes more exploiting than exploring. And that's a pity, I think. So we've really got to think it over. And we can apply all the tools and they're great. And we can apply a number of principles, but we also have to explore, I think, the way the principles we use, the values we have, the mindset we have, things like that. And then we can integrate the both, I think.
Yeah, in a sense, I think that is what you see with Toyota, that they also take care of their environment,
Right.
the society they are in.
Yeah.
How can we make it better? And like that, Jim said yesterday, he said, you hardly see people putting the profit or the gains they get out of lean into creating a better society, creating better life for their people.
But it's
really investing in.
Sorry, yeah, it's even quite smaller sometimes. I mean, I've been in a lot of companies, been working as a practitioner, lean practitioner for about 30 years. And what I see quite often is there's a local improvement, but it stays local. Perhaps it reduces cost or something, but it's not. Nobody thinks about how can we use it to create a better world, and that's a pity. I mean, because there's so much easy things to do to create a better world.
Absolutely.
If I may, just to complete what Justin said, even for those who are not, you can hear very often that we cannot focus on sustainability because we have to focus on profitability. This, we know that and it's a form of CFO that speaking to you, and we know that in the lean principle we have security first, then quality, then lead time, then cost, which should be a pity for me as former CFO. But it's important because we know that even if we focus on quality, we will have a profitability impact. But don't do it the other way. So it's a mindset of focusing in quality that will reduce the carbon footprint, and that will increase your profitability. So there's no contradiction in sustainability and profitability through lean approach.
It's and it's not.
That's and.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm wondering if you're focusing only on what your client wants, the customer. I think we won't go far enough. So maybe from now on we have two customers, which is the client, but also the earth. So what would the earth think of your decisions? And I think the client never. Well, they also want to focus on sustainability, but we, as Eurofamiliar, try to convince them to set an extra step and to tell them that they are not our only client.
Okay, looking at the time, I'd like to move to the examples from your working environment, but also from an academic perspective. And Lizzie, you sent this great slide, but what is this?
This is the future way of living. These are houses, 12 houses completely made out of timber. So the construction, the walls, everything is being made of wood, for 90%. And that is so important because 9% of the total CO2 emissions worldwide are due to the use of concrete. So this is very polluting. And now in the Netherlands we have this new way of building, and it's with wood, and it's not only the CO2 emissions which are being important to reduce, but also live more healthy, live more together with nature. And well, I'm so happy that already for 4% of all the things we built last year were in wood, and our goal is to go to 20% in 2030, and it's really going in that direction. So,
do you see clients also interested?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Almost every project we applied to, at least 10% of the buildings they asked to be built in with timber.
And I also see some green roofs, isn't that?
Yeah. As well.
So that's plants on the roof.
Yeah, so no tiles anymore, but it's just bio-based.
Hmm. And that is also, I think, taking up carbon, but also good for the water. Because we seem to have a lot of water in the Netherlands. That's maybe not familiar to every listener, but we have a lot of rain, so that's good as well. This is quite interesting.
Can I
So
ask a question to Lizzie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Lizzie, is it also profitable to because in the end we also all companies need to make some kind of profit. Is it also profitable to make houses like these for Dura Vermeer?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, the short answer is yes. But in the beginning, we focused on the market for for the more the bigger houses. So these houses are like 200 square meters. So we do it for people who can pay a little bit more. But now, because we do so many projects and we work together with partners who can speed up the process and they can build it for less money than, for example, 3 years ago. We can also build with timber for the housing sector, of the renting sector and the social renting sector, but they aren't like for 90% made of timber, but I think for 50% or so.
Okay.
So this is not the normal house.
Okay.
And they also look cool, so it's not
Very nice.
old-fashioned stuff, but this is really looks quite luxurious to live in. So so you do not have to trade in per se the convenience of
No.
good house,
In my opinion.
which is also important for many people. So Fabrice, any things you're doing currently? What's your next step? So
No, our next step is really to come back to what Stan said, is to onboard all our employee at Armis on this approach that I just mentioned, and about logistic, and that will be the case for all the scope. So really our focus practical is the example just given for a few minutes ago about logistics, and make it a day-to-day concern of our employee, and not only because we are talking about CO2, then we are taking care of, but it's part of the daily business. This is part of the daily job of. It's key in this one that we onboard the employee in that. I cannot be the only one head of sustainability to talk about that and to have this mindset.
I think that's also an important message, and the same I think that Lizzie gave and Tom, is that it is all about people. So it's the mind shift, it's the change in behavior, and not just long term, but what can we do quickly? What can we do tomorrow or next months? And don't postpone this. It's really about what can we do. So any questions and answers? I'm going to open the Q&A. Hold on. Questions. Let me see. Lizzie, what is your source of timber? Do you have sustainable forests?
Yes, of course. It's all the FSC certified.
FSC certified wood.
Yeah, most definitely.
It's not from your own sustainable forest,
guys.
but you get this from other areas. Hey.
Yeah, mostly from Europe.
Okay, so not a lot of trouble. Hey, Roberto.
Sorry, guys. Time is up, but thank you very much. Thank you very much for the panel.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you for participating.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
We're moving on to the.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Bye.